Welcome back. This is Tutorial 11 and the second part of the exercise that we started in our previous lesson. First, let's show all the dimensional and geometric constraints. This is a small, simple model, but as you can see, our model space is pretty crowded with constraints. The good news is that when you zoom in, the constraints stay about the same size, and this makes your model space appear less crowded. Another alternative would be to select and organize the dimensional constraints a little bit better. And I'm just going to take a moment to do so to improve the visual appearance of this model. And let's move this somewhere here. Something like this. Let's press Escape to deselect everything. And let's hide all the constraints. Basically, the only thing we need to remember is the value of D1. That's the dimension that controls our entire model. First, let's hide all the dimensional constraints. And let's hide all of the geometric constraints as well. However, when I select an object in model space, the constraints do become visible. Let's press Escape to deselect, and let's learn where we can turn this option off. Let's launch the Constraint Settings dialog window. Let's uncheck Show Constraint Bars when objects are selected. OK. And now let's go to the Dimensional tab. Uncheck Show Hidden Dynamic Constraints for selected objects. And click OK. Now when I select entities in model space, the constraints do stay hidden. Let's zoom in a little bit. I'm going to create a slot about here. Let's turn on Object Snap Mode. Endpoint, Center, and Quadrant are active. That's what I need. Let's go to the Home tab and activate the Circle tool. I'll place the first circle about here. The diameter of the circle doesn't matter at this point. Let's activate the Line command. Ortho mode is on. I'll create a line approximately this size. I'm not precise about the size at this point. Now let's activate the Copy command. Select our circle. A right click will finish the selection. Next, we specify the base point. And then the Copy To point. Let's copy it to this endpoint. Activate the Copy command again. Select the line. Right-click to finish the selection. Specify the base point and the Copy To point. Let's snap it to this quadrant and this quadrant. Now I'm going to activate the Trim command. Press Enter to select everything. And let's trim with a window selection. Right-click, Erase. Select our construction line here. And right-click to execute the command. Let's go to the Parametric tab. First, I'll apply a coincident constraint. Right-click, Auto Constraint. Let me make a window selection. And let's right-click to execute the auto constraint. Now I'm going to apply a horizontal constraint to this line and a parallel constraint between these two lines. Okay, let's apply a couple vertical relations now. Right-click, 2 points, select this point and this point. Vertical relation again. Right-click, 2 points, this point and this point. Next, I'll apply a concentric constraint between the first arc and the second arc. We still need to apply constraints to this arc, for as you can see, I'm still able to grab and drag. Let's use an equal constraint between this arc and this arc. Okay, let's hide our constraints. And I'm going to place a diameter dimensional constraint. It's going to be D1 divided by 2, and press Enter. Lastly, we need to apply a linear dimensional constraint to one of these two lines down below. I'll select this point, and I'll place the dimension about here, type D1 and press Enter. Now let's hide all dimensional constraints. Let's click the Show Hide button now. Select our line, right-click and select Show. Oops, nothing happened. Let's do the same with the other. Hide Show button, select the line, right-click and select Show. Here is our D1 dimension. Let's zoom out a bit and change the value of D1 from, let's say, 5 units to 4 units. Press Enter. And we've successfully resized our geometry. Let's double-click and change the value of D1 to 7, let's say. Press Enter. And let's show all of our dimensional constraints, as well as the geometric constraints. We did create a small mechanical part, but even so, our model space is very busy with constraints. Let's learn how we can manage this a bit better. We're going to bring up the Constraint Settings dialog window. Go to the Dimensional tab. Let's select Name from the Format drop-down menu. Click OK. This looks a little better. Let's go back to Constraint Settings. We'll choose Value from the same drop-down menu and click OK to check out how it looks. All right, let's click on the Application button, Drawing Utilities, Units. We'll adjust our precision to 1 decimal point and click OK. Let's hide geometric constraints also. And this looks a little less cluttered.